But apparently I said Tyler Bowen did a pretty good job in year one. And I read that and I was like, yeah, I think that. All right, I probably said it. That was, I guess, way too easy on Tyler Bowen, saying that he did a pretty good job in year one. And I can see if you think that was too easy on Tyler Bowen, saying that he did a pretty good job. But I guess that depends on what your definition of pretty good is and what mine is. And I'll agree that when I say pretty good, I don't really mean like, I don't mean it in the sense of the two words pretty good. I mean kind of like, like that's kind of what I mean. I guess we should stop saying pretty good. I should stop saying pretty good when I don't actually mean pretty good, right? I mean, meh. I don't think Tyler Bowen did a great job. However, we're talking about a guy who walked in his first year, who was working with somebody else's talent, who wasn't known for bringing in the best talent, and also brought in two new transfers for him to inherit, one of which was Anyanwa, who was a total bust. In addition to that, he also did a good job on the recruiting trail, immediately locking down Sam and Max. But we're talking about how he coached the line. But again, the recruiting matters as well. It's all part of it. But in terms of how he coached the line, I've been critical of the mistakes I thought he made. I definitely think that when we look at this year's offensive line, they need to make a big step forward. And if they don't make a big step forward, I'll be totally on board with, all right, man, that's it. Year one wasn't quite good enough. So I guess my really good means not quite good enough, but not enough for me to be like, I want you out of here. I guess that's what I mean by pretty good. You got to show us in year two. These guys got to play better. And the good news is I think they will. We're going to see all sorts of mixes and matches throughout spring, guys moving all over the place. And I think no matter where they move, it's all going to end up like this in the end, which is the same exact place that I thought it should have been after the Purdue game. So Phil was injured for the Purdue game. Now he comes off a bad game against Wisconsin. He is injured for Purdue, and in his stead comes Ian Moore, halfway through his second year. And Ian, I said in the post-game show and all week after that, was too good to keep off the field. He was too good. And it just made too much sense to upgrade at tackle by bringing by bringing Ian in over Phil and moving Phil down to guard, where he's better suited physically and better than Tegra already. And you have now upgraded your guard and tackle. It just made perfect sense. And you had cream puffs to play still. You still had cream puffs on the schedule. Isn't that the beauty of having cream puffs, to try things like that? I thought that it was too simple, and I thought that they should have pulled the trigger on it. And I think that Bowen, this was one of his issues I disagreed with. He did not pull the trigger fast enough getting Tegra out of there throughout the season. Did the same thing with Van Sickle against Miami when it was clear he was way overwhelmed and there was going to be that dude wasn't going to calm down throughout the game. Are we kidding ourselves here? And he left him in the whole first half. Pull that guy, get Padilla in there and see if maybe this guy can work it out, man. It's the playoffs now. But I think that is one of the things that I'd like to see Bowen have, is a bit of a quicker trigger when it comes to yanking guys out of there. But I thought that was just about as simple of a switch as you could have made that would have helped the offensive line on the right side. Move Phil Daniels down to guard, put Ian Moore in at tackle, and that group of five guys right there is the group that I think we end up starting this year with. I think that's the group we see ultimately, that same group right there, with Ian and Austin at tackle, with Luke Montgomery, Phil Daniels at guard, and Carson at center in some form or fashion. Those dudes, I think that's what it is. We'll have a lot of iterations as we get there, and maybe Van Sickle or maybe Padilla beats out Phil Daniels at right guard. And if that happens, hey, all the better. But what I do know is whoever wins that position will be better than Tegra. And I think Ian Moore will be an upgrade at tackle. And now you've just upgraded your two weakest positions from 2025. In doing so, you got a better offensive line. And I also believe that Austin Saraveld, Luke Montgomery, Carson Hinsman will all get better Luke's got to get better. Luke's got to get more consistent. Luke has a ton of talent, but Luke is very inconsistent. And sometimes he gets beat badly, and he's got to fix that. But when we look at how these guys could potentially get mixed up, I hear a lot of people talking about, Sierraveld, you could play him back at guard. I can't see any way that makes any sense. I mean, I think we can all agree Austin is either one or two. So if Austin is either one or two, and he's your best guard too, right? If I was to ask you, all right, you can have an All-American at one position, tackle or guard, you get to pick. What are you picking? You're picking tackle every time. So if you can play Austin Sierraveld, who can be an All-American at tackle or guard, where do you play him? You play him at tackle every time. In addition to that, you got three dudes that can handle starting at tackle. Ian Moore, Phil Daniels, and Austin Sierraveld. How about guard? You got like six. You got Padilla. You got Van Sickle. You got Hinsman. You got Phil Daniels. You got Luke Montgomery. You got Austin Sierraveld. All these dudes can play guard. You got three that can play tackle. And that's why Sierraveld so much more important to play at tackle. This is a guy who on the open market, if he'd have gone out on the transfer portal, would have been $1 million left tackle. Like, that's the kind of guy we're talking about. You're not going to take that guy and move him to guard. So ultimately, this lineup right here is a money lineup. I'm really happy about it. A lot of guys I want to see, though. I want to see Ian. Ian was, 310 pounds last year. Now he's 6'6". He moves so fluently, nimble on his feet. His frame looked a little bit underdeveloped still last year. Like, he's still kind of growing into his frame. I could see him very easily as he gets into his, early 20s, adding on just naturally another 20 pounds of mass. And this guy is going to be something, man. This could be a potential first rounder we're talking about here. This dude is legit. So what do I think the ideal playing weight is for him? I don't know, man. I don't know, but I think he'll be more than 310 this year. Obviously, we also in the fray there at guard, who I didn't mention, Jake Cook. Jake Cook comes in now year 2, had a great freshman year, ended the year at 6'4", 300. I caught up with Jake yesterday for a weight check. He's at 310 and leaner than he was. Barrel-chested, man. He's like a wrecking ball. So I'm not counting out Jake getting in on that as well. So that's another guard that could potentially play. Of course, you got the youngsters coming up. Well, Carter Lowe also in year 2, like Jake. And Carter could potentially pop in and play tackle a little bit. Maybe he can get some reps there as well. And Sam comes in as a freshman, Sam Greer. And I've been able to see Sam throughout his high school career. Sam is, he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch because he's just so big and physically built. I'm curious to see him next to Carter moving around, seeing the feet fluidity between the two of those guys, and two guys that could be in the running for a starting tackle spot next year. In addition, freshman Landry Breed. Now, I saw a picture of him with Sam, and Breed, we're not sure. Is he going to play tackle? Is he going to end up playing guard? He's at that 6'5" where he can go either way. Man, did they look so different physically. And I wasn't huge on Breed getting an offer. I felt like him getting an offer and not Ben Congdon, who we let get away to Miami, was probably a really bad move. And we'll see, man. We'll see how that goes. But Ben Congdon is looking just excellent at 6'7", 285 pounds, a wrestler, and watching that dude go to Miami without even an offer from Ohio State, it's just burning me. So Landry Breed got a big bar to climb. Moving on to quarterback.